Useful information as of a couple of days ago, maybe. Two subtypes or strains of COVID-19 were found in 103 people, and that's a small sample. They really can't be considered to be separate strains, so they're basically subtypes tentatively. Many of the genetic differences can't affect production of proteins, symptoms, lethality, or the way the virus does anything. It just means that we can identify something or not, and we have to check with every other source. They're only differentiated by nucleotide substitutions. They're not quite mutations, but they are kind of. 8,000 code 8,700 such and such, synonymous with 30% might be less aggressively spread older strain outside of Wuhan that crossed later into humans after the first one went through. This one is closely related to viruses like TG13 in bats. And then 70% of it, ORF8 yada yada type L, might be more aggressively spread new strain dominant during the early epidemic in China that has faded in the background because since it so aggressively spreads, I mean, that one spread really, really well. But the one that's becoming, coming up more, maybe, is the one that spreads less. And anyway, a bunch of information came up. The data examined in this study will be very limited. Follow-up analysis of a large set is needed to have any better understanding of the evolution in epidemiology. COVID-19 and TG13 are surprisingly distinct. They are separated by a subsequent mutation and selection, evolution, over several decades, and not only just by acquiring the ACE2 protein capability so that they can bonding capability to be able to get into human cells. And that's about it. It's not much of a vid. So basically there are two variations of it. It doesn't seem to affect the behavior except they're either one of them is more aggressive at spreading. That doesn't mean it's more dangerous. The word aggressive is a bad word to use because it's only talking about maybe kind of sort of it's more commonly found. They have very few differences between them, and both of them are both related to the bat viruses. It's just that one of them is slightly more related to the bat virus. And it spreads less aggressively, but it is the one that's most likely to be found outside of China. Now I'm going to bring up something. In the comments section on one video that talked about this, the person was presenting a completely rational discussion about it, and the comment section was filled with people blaming one country or another for being the cause of it because they're all filthy bastards and name that country, or this is a bioweapon. Okay, so you have a bioweapon that's showing the markers of nearly the 80-30 ratio principle. The 80-20%. The 80% 20% or 80-20 rule happens in nature and it happens in everything else, including engineering. This would be a 30-70. It's very close to that. It'll probably be something like that. This does not bode well for a meme about blaming some country you want to take the blame for it, China, or any other country. There are people in Korea blaming China. There are Chinese people blaming America, and then it's Sweden, and then whatever. Blame PewDiePie. None of that actually accomplishes anything, but it sure as hell is popular in the comment section. And I'm hoping somebody will go through and just do a word search for bioweapon and make sure it's not somebody just asking questions. And if they are just making assertions like that, I think everybody should delete those comments. And another one I want to bring up. 2 months ago, some random 50-cent army asshole showed up and said, in America, they're shooting people for going to the store. And he refused to tell anybody when it happened or where. All the earmarks of a liar. And then a bunch of other brigaders from the 50-cent army showed up with every characteristic that tells you that they're part of the propaganda conspiracy, not a theory, showing up trying to deflect criticism. And they showed up backing it up. Well, I saw it. Where and when? If you say a city You're going to have to find one with no Google Street View and no people in it so you can make your bullshit claim like a UFO storyteller. You have to find the most bizarrely and if you're making a claim, well, it shot a bunch of people in public, but there's no street view. And if we go look it up, we find out there was no shooting. We can contact people living in the area, contact the police station, contact random people who are there who have posted their name online. Contact the local newspaper. Did you hear about a shooting in the area? No. Do you even have the store this person's mentioning? No, it's a vacant lot. Every few years someone brings up the FEMA meme, or they're coming for guns, or there's a martial law in the streets, and then when you ask them, what state is this? They won't even tell you what part of the country it's in. Everybody knows that. Frog's gay. So this isn't much different. But anyway, on this case, this is a single study of 100 and some odd people finding variations within them, which is actually significant. It really is. If they're all, if they're from widespread out areas or even a concentrated area, finding these kind of variations is useful and important. That does not mean it's mutating into something deadlier. It is not in the best interest of a virus to do something that causes it to kill its hosts. If it does that, if this virus killed over 50% of the people who got the disease, it would scare everybody into not coming near each other, and our innate reaction would be not to get it. It would die off. It can't kill a hard percentage of the hosts and continue unless it has a very long delay. And if it's very aggressive in spreading, it won't spread slowly enough to be considered accommodated for the population. It is not in the best interest of a virus to kill off its hosts at all. And that's why we get a yearly flu with 0.1% death rate, because that way it can keep alive. With this happening, we as a species have declared a war on it. And if it's mutating in such a way that it becomes less spready and less aggressive, it might also be less deadly, which means it would survive. We would achieve détente. That may be its best option. That's worked for every other virus, including the one that's mutated from, which happily lives in bats and all sorts of critters. There's a lot of them. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.